some laws regarding emails because emails can be used as evidence. So please be aware of what you send, and companies are really, if they have their own domains regarding their email systems, they're very aware of what they're writing, because at any time anyone can see your emails. There's a law. Is that a law? It's a disclosure. It's called Freedom of Information Act. So it states that like anyone can, if they have the right, under certain circumstances, they can see your email addresses. So if you do any abusive act or anything, harassment over the email, they can see it. So and they have the right to see it. So that's why companies are very aware of always. Is anyone recording, by the way?
I am, miss.
Okay, good. That's why companies are very aware of what their employees write in their email addresses. As for us, when we went to AUIS, the first day they told us how to write emails. We called that orientation. One of the parts of the major part of the orientation was how to write emails, and make sure you write this and this and that, and you don't write this and this and that, because it's important to be professional, especially in a professional environment. We talked about internet and intranet, and I said that it's very important. And today we're going to talk about another section regarding 10.2. Okay. Cloud storage. By now you should all know what cloud means. Cloud means the internet. When we talk about cloud storage, that means you store something on the internet. That means your servers are not inside the company, or in maybe not even in the country. Okay. So method of data storage, where data is stored on off-site servers. Most of the cloud service providers follow data redundancy method. Okay, guys, familiarize yourselves with data redundancy. When we say data is redundant, okay, this term is very much used in IT. In some fields we try to avoid it, in other fields we try to implement it. Okay, so most cloud storage providers follow data redundancy method. That means data is repeated. Redundancy means repeat. Okay, that means saving data on more than one location. That means on more than one server at the same time, so that if anything happens to one server, okay, or if one server needs maintenance or upgrade or formatting or anything, your service, your cloud storage service, doesn't stop. I'm sure Google Drive has more than one server. That means if you save your data on Google Drive, your data will be saved on 2 different locations at the same time. This is necessary for backup and maintenance and everything. All right. The book talks about 3 common cloud storage systems. One is called public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Public cloud is where the client is from a different company than the storage provider. We do not own Google Drive servers at all. Okay, that means Google Drive is a public cloud storage system for us. Private cloud is a dedicated storage environment. Client and cloud storage provider operate as a single entity. This cloud provider is only available to users of that specific client with additional control and customization available. When you have a private cloud, that means you dedicate a server for your company, okay? However you deal with this server, that's the company's authority. They have the authority. For example, they have the authority to dedicate certain space for certain clients and more space for employees who are in a higher hierarchy in the management team. You can have different authorization. You can customize your server the way you want. That's what we call private cloud. You buy the server. It's very expensive, by the way, but not many companies follow this. But you have full control over that server, and many cloud service providers provide private cloud systems. You can actually buy the server or a drive in the server for your own use as a company. And then you got hybrid. To save some money, sometimes you need private cloud, but not for everything. So you're going to save some money by providing hybrid cloud, combination of public and private cloud. The client uses the private cloud for very sensitive data and uses the public cloud for less sensitive data. I think this is pretty clear now. Any questions? No. Advantages and disadvantages of saving your data in the cloud. We've already talked about it. I'm not going to go over it again. For example, you can access the data everywhere, anytime, as long as you have internet. A disadvantage could be you must have internet and stuff like that. We've talked about this. I'm not going to go over it. It's on page 176. General internet terms. Protocol. Protocol definition, you should know it by heart. Okay? Very, very important. Very important, okay? Set of rules agreed and followed by the source and the destination when transferring data, okay? If a service if a service uses a certain protocol and you decide to use that service and that service uses a certain protocol, you as the source and the service as the destination, both of the sides must follow the rules in the protocol. Protocol is just a set of rules. You should do this, you should do that, you should do that in terms of data transmission. But both sides must follow the same protocol. That means the same set of rules. And they must follow all of it. An example of protocol is HTTP. It is used by the World Wide Web, right? If you use World Wide Web, you must use HTTP. And both the source, which is you, and the destination, which is the server that provides any web page, they must follow the HTTP protocol. And if they use HTTPS, it is more secure. They use SSL or TLS, and it is another, like, the set of protocols, the set of rules used by HTTP in addition to some sort of encryption and security methods taken. Web browsers. What? No questions here? Okay. Browsers. Web browser, you know what it is. It's a software that interprets and translates website HTML and shows the results. It displays a web page on a device screen. Web browsers use URL to access the web pages. That is pretty self-descriptive. It is the job of the web browser to translate your HTML coding to actual results and display it on your screen. And in order to access web pages, they use the URLs. In order to access Google, they use HTTPS, www.google.com. Features of web browsers, this is also mentioned in the book. They have a homepage. They can store users' favorite web pages. They can keep history of the visited websites. They have backward and forward navigation through open web pages. This is what Google Chrome offers. If you think of it like Google Chrome or Safari or any other web browser that you might use, Firefox, they all have a homepage. And they all have backward and forward navigation. You can store your favorite web pages, and they all store your history and stuff like that. Know this. This is nice to know. Maybe though you already know it. Okay, any questions regarding web browsers? Okay, URLs. This is a very nice topic. This is the URL. This is what all URLs look like. First, you have the protocol. Then you have your website address. Then you have the path and file name. These two are optional. Okay. Now, the protocol. HTTP or HTTPS or FTP or any other protocol that you might use. Okay. We're going to talk about different kinds of protocols in a minute. Website address. Website address consists of three main parts. www, which is the domain host. When you say the www, World Wide Web, we call that the domain host. Okay, you should know these things. Google is your domain name, or BIS-Suli, something like that, if our website looks something like that. Google, that is our domain name. .com, .net, that's your domain type. Sometimes after the .net, .in or .uk, you have something optional, depends on the web address. It is your country code. .edu.krd. That's our AUIS, www.auis.edu. AUIS is the domain name, edu is the domain type, .krd, KRD is our country code, which is Kurdistan. Sometimes you want to go to a certain web page within that web address if it's not the home page. But if you do not have the path or file name, it goes to the root directory if omitted, if not available, all right? When it says goes to the root directory, that means it goes to the home page. And the file name item on the web page. It is your file name. You want to go to a certain item, you add that. From now on, when you surf the internet, when you use the internet, let it be Facebook or any other social media or any other website, take a look at the web address and the full URL and kind of, notice the protocol, the domain host, the domain name, the domain type, the country code, the path, and the file name. Notice these things. It's good if you kind of observe whatever you are surfing, and it's a nice information to have in the first place. It will help you with this class as well. You will never forget. And it's something that we use every day. It's not like theory. Any questions? Any questions? No. So I'm just going to write auis.edu.krd. That is AUIS website if you guys want. So that is only in this section. www. FTP. Just like HTTP or HTTPS, we also have FTP. FTP is used when you send a file over the internet. For example, when you send an attachment, when you send an image over social media. At that time, at that specific time, for the data transmission, you need FTP. Okay? And that's all what you need to know regarding FTP. Nothing else. Huh? It is used when you transfer data or when you transfer files. That is when FTP is used. And it is used. It's not like it's never used. It is used. It is there. All right. We have studied all of these, apart from SMTP.
Miss, could you go
yeah.
back 1 second?
Mm.
For FTP. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So we have some certain protocols here. I just made a little table for you guys so that you know what you studied. HTTP, used by World Wide Web to define how web pages transferred. HTTPS, it's HTTP secure. HTTP using SSL or TLS to protect against eavesdropping. That is when you use encryption. FTP, file transfer protocol, transfers files from one host to another. Used when downloading or uploading a file. SSL, Secure Sockets Layer, a standard form of security to enable an encrypted link between a server and browser. All of the data passing between them remain private. SMTP, this is what email uses. Gmail, any sort of email system. Simple mail transfer protocol. Communication protocol for mail servers for transmitting data. Email uses SMTP. Okay? Any questions? You should know all of these. It is in the curriculum and you're supposed to know it. The physical, how the physical layer of how all of these protocols actually work is a year 13 topic. But what you need to know is that what protocols are, set of rules, and what these protocols do and when they are used and their acronym and stuff like that. Set of rules followed by both the sender and the receiver, both the source and the destination. If I'm using HTTPS, when I send data, it must be encrypted. That's one of the rules. If the server is sending me data, again, it must be encrypted. Okay? That's all what you need to understand. Okay. Internet service providers, ISPs, companies providing users with access to internet. Users get an account with login details when they register with an ISP. ISP has the telecommunication line required to have internet. That's what they have. I don't a very obvious difference, but the book talks about the differences between ISP and a web browser. And there are IGCSE questions regarding explain the differences between ISP and web browser. It's pretty straightforward. We all know what an ISP is, and we all know what a web browser is. You can either have 1 or 2 points from web browser itself here, here, 1 or 2 points from the web browser, or just the definition from a web browser and the definition from an ISP. If you want to write more, if there were more points on it, you can add these 2 points as well. ISPs provide users with internet access for a monthly fee, whereas web browsers allow users to view web pages. They're worlds apart, very different, but there are GCSE questions, and the book talks about it very clearly, that this is a section. Any questions?
Miss, how much of that do we need to know? Like this slide, how much of it do we need to know?
All of it.
All of it. Can you wait until I write all of it?
It's not only one paragraph. It's not even one paragraph if you combine them all together.
Yeah, can you wait until I finish writing it? Can you wait until I finish writing it?
Yeah, sure. You can take a picture of it.
All right. Yeah.
Akar, I can't hear you.
Max, I've taken a screenshot. I'll just send it to him.
I'm not talking. Hello?
I thought it was you who were talking. I'll also upload this on Google Classroom so you can study it. It's also in the book as well. All right. Any specific questions? Other specific questions? No. Blogs, wikis, and social networking sites. What are what each of them are, what each of them is, and what are the differences between them. Wiki versus blog. Wiki is a website that allows you to become a participant, create or edit site contents. You will be allowed to create and edit site contents, and it has always been reviewed by others, and others can edit it as well, make it better, hopefully, if not worse. Example of a wiki. Example of a wiki.
The encyclopedia or Wikipedia?
Wikipedia. Wiki, yeah. Wikipedia. Yes. Another example of wiki. WikiLeaks. If you
Miss, what about Facebook? Isn't it like a wiki?
no, Facebook is a social networking website.
Hmm.
Facebook doesn't publish an article, whereas everybody can edit that article. With Wikipedia, anyone, even you, can go and change or add to anything on Wikipedia.
Hmm.
That's why Wikipedia we don't usually rely on it for getting information, because
Yeah.
we don't know whether it's actually true or not, because anyone can edit it, anyone can write in it that paragraph or that article that about anything. Do you get it?
Miss,
Yes.
but isn't there any rules like before editing something on Wikipedia?
So previously Wikipedia, anyone could edit it. I think now you must be a member. They have kind of limited the editing section. You must
think
be a
you-
member, a proper
I
member.
think it after, even if you do make a change, it has to be like allowed. Yeah, they're gonna review it then allow it.
I think yeah, it will be reviewed by somebody else before they actually publish it. But they have kind of limited to a certain extent, but so anyone can edit it. Okay. But the fact that the information there is most of the times correct, most of the times, not always, we can't rely on it. When you enter university and when they ask you to write an essay, the first thing they'll tell you is that make sure your citation does not include Wikipedia. It is very unacceptable. Okay. Any questions? Blog. Blog is a personal, we all know what a blog is, okay? Personal internet journal. Just know these things, so that in the exam when it comes up, when you know what to write. Otherwise, we all know what a blog is. Allows the public to comment on the posts of others as well, but they cannot edit the actual article. They can only post comments. Microblog, social networking sites use microblogs. Whatever you do on Facebook, you post something like 1 or 2 lines and others will be able to comment on it. That's a microblog. A longer version of that is going to be a blog. And we all can see the differences between social media and an actual blog. A business blog is used by businesses to promote themselves on the internet. It is a business blog. Actually, most of the proper businesses have a business blog, and it is very necessary to promote your business because it's also very cheap and very effective as well. It shows that your business is active. A blog is about an individual opinion. Whatever you write in your blog is totally your opinion, as long as it doesn't harass anyone or break any law, like proper law on the internet. Otherwise, it's totally your opinion. But a wiki is a group consensus, something that a group of people have agreed on. More than one person has agreed on. Any questions? Okay. Social networking websites. Builds on online communities of users who share the same interests and activities. Advertisements, social media is much more cost effective than traditional approaches to marketing. Enables direct messaging as well. So these are different features of social networking websites. But with direct messaging, you know, sometimes you get overloaded messages. You don't want that. Most businesses do not use social networking websites to actually communicate. They use email system to actually communicate among their own employees. Okay, but they still use the social media or social networking website, whatever you call it, to do their marketing, their advertisements. So you can see that in a business or even as a person, you need different approaches or different websites, kinds of websites for different purposes. You can't use one for everything. Any questions? Now, the internet for information. This is what we call surfing the internet. I think I should write that. We call this surfing, internet surfing. It is not easy to find whatever you're looking for on the internet. ING, yeah, internet surfing. It is not easy to find whatever you're looking for on the internet and in a short time, okay? Or it is not easy to find exactly what you want on the internet unless you know how to search. I was actually very a bad internet. I was not an internet surfer at all. I could never find what I was looking for. One of the classes at university, actually two or more than two, almost all of the classes in your first year, they teach you how to surf, how to search for the proper information regarding that class. Okay, almost all of the classes, they spend some time, one or two lessons only on how to search, because it's not an easy task. So you guys will be okay with that, I think, because you studied ICT. All right. So there are two ways to find information on the internet. One is called what? You have a question? Anyone has a question? No. One is called, you have two ways to find information on the internet. One is by typing in the URL, actually going to a UIS website by typing in the UIS URL. This is what we discussed earlier. And another one is using the search engine, going to Google and actually writing Facebook, and then going to Facebook from there. How does a search engine work? You enter into the search box, looks up the search engine looks up its database of web pages, brings the web pages that match the strings. If you become an IT major, you will see the word string a lot. and I expect you to write this down. Take this a note. Make this a note. When you say, okay, when you say C, letter C or letter A, B, C, D, one letter, this is called character. When you have more than one letter, for example, chira, or a word, okay, one word, this is called a string in IT, okay? So what the search engine does is that it tries to bring in everything that matches your string, more than one strings. If anything has chira, it will bring it up, okay? For example, you're saying how to search on Google. This is 5 words. That means 5 strings. It will bring up anything that has the word how in it, to in it, and by now you should have noticed this already. It cannot bring in everything together. It cannot search in its database like that. You cannot program such a thing. Maybe in later stages in life, hopefully things will get better. But in terms of programming, when you program your search engine, it cannot bring in a whole sentence all at once, search as a whole sentence. It can only search string by string. Okay. You need to know how this works. This is important. That's why I put it on the slide. Advantages and disadvantages of using the internet to find information, page 181. We're going to discuss some of the points though later on. But why is it good to use the internet to find your information? First of all, a good advantage is that it's fast. And a good disadvantage is that you cannot always rely on any website. Okay. Now, we're going to discuss some of the disadvantages. Why are the internet searches to find relevant information not always fast? Sometimes you have something called information overload, okay? If you just say computers or laptops, you have lots of websites that are, first of all, irrelevant. So you have to actually look for it. But if you just say, if you say Lenovo IdeaPad 320, you'll get exactly what, or very close to what you're looking for. Very relevant information. Okay. So you have to narrow down your searches, your search criteria. And also certain websites pay to be at the top of the results all the time, even if they're not actually relevant. Some websites pay Google to actually be on the top. And you go ahead and open them and you find that it has nothing to do with the information that you actually want. So this is a very obvious disadvantage and something that we have always encountered. Why isn't it so easy to find reliable? So first of all, we talked about relevant information. Okay, make sure you know the differences between relevant and reliable. Relevant and reliable, all right? Okay. Can I actually trust Wikipedia? No, because it's not reliable. Okay. Oh, this is just exactly the same thing that.
But miss, you can go to the websites that they got their information from and go check it from there because sometimes they will put the links down.
No, actually
Not
take
now
you
we can,
to other Wikipedia pages.
but sometimes they do have like links to other websites. You could use that.
Okay, but can I trust Wikipedia? Huh? Can I trust Wikipedia itself? Whatever information is there. No.
Mm,
You can look at it and read it for your own information. Okay, but you must always go to
Miss,
another
is there a reason
website.
not to trust Wikipedia?
Huh?
Is there a reason not to trust it?
Yes, because anyone can edit it.
Yeah, but they have verified checkers. Like people can go and check on them, see if it's fake or not.
Then you have to go and actually check whether the information is actually correct or not.
But miss, there like when you try to edit something, it won't edit it. It's like automatically. It will have to be checked for to see if it's actually true or not. Then it
Yes.
will be edited.
Check it. Who's gonna check it?
They have
So why?
pay. They have
So
paid
anyone
employees.
can edit it
No, dude, they
as long
don't.
as it's.
Some special pages do. I can go and edit some pages right now. I've done it so many times. They don't check at all unless the page is run by a corporation.
By
Then
the
they give the ownership to the
edit something.
corporation themselves.
Actually, it worked. Last
Yeah,
time I checked,
miss.
personal experience, it actually worked. Okay. So I don't know about it now. I'm talking about like 5 years ago. But
Miss.
that means my information must still be there at least, and lots of other people's information must still be there. And if they have increased their security and editing things right now, I don't know. But you cannot trust it. Yes, Adan.
For example, they can edit some messages, and it might be moral to them, but it might not be moral to some people. So that's another reason that we shouldn't trust it, since it's
Yes, because
editable
it's a
by
group
people.
decision. It's a group decision, not an individual decision. There's internet, when you publish something on the internet, as long as it doesn't break any laws, okay, it is okay to publish it. It's not like books. It's not like books. They don't have to be checked by other people to ensure that it's factually correct, okay? And they could completely be out of date, okay? You don't know. Well, sometimes you know, which is the next slide, how what we're going to talk about in the next slide, okay? If the information is out of date, for example, you're going to say the latest version of iPhone, and it brings iPhone 7, definitely it's not the latest version. And some websites might actually state that it's iPhone 7, but it doesn't break any law. It's just there. Nobody actually corrects it, checks it. You as the user, you can actually create a website and publish anything that you want as long as it doesn't break any law, which we talked about before. So that's why if it's not checked, then anyone can publish anything. Okay, I'm gonna end the lesson for now. Next slide is about how you can find reliable information on the internet, something that you can properly cite. But before I end the lesson, let me take registration.
Miss, I'm gonna stop
Yeah.
recording.
Yes, please, thank you.